Good morning, everyone. Long time no see, but I thought I would give everyone an update this morning on Tropical Storm Nicholas and what its chances of impacting North Texas are, which unfortunately by the hour it tends to be going down. With that, let's get right to it. So this is the latest satellite picture of where Nicholas is, and you can see that well, it's kind of hard to see. There's not really an eye. It's still a tropical storm, so you have winds that are 60 miles an hour or greater, a little bit gustier, not hurricane strength. Remember, hurricane strength is 74 miles an hour, so it's the center is not a classic eye by any means. Although there's some chance that it'll strengthen between now and then to a hurricane, but if it did, it would be a minimal Category 1 hurricane. So with that, let's look at the latest radar here. And this is from the Brownsville radar, and we'll put this in motion here. And you can see that, obviously not a classic hurricane signature by any means, but it is a classic tropical storm signature. And you can see it's kind of wobbling off to the east of Brownsville there, wanting to drift to the north. And that's the key for us is where does this thing ultimately go to? Where does it ultimately drift up to? And so that's what we have to look out for. And that's what's going to impact whether we get any rain or not, and certainly any wind. I don't really think we're going to have to worry about wind by any means. But you can see right about there's a center of circulation, and it wants to drift a little bit like that. So I think we'll continue to see that as the day goes on. And if the track is correct, we'll probably see it drift somewhere along there. So if it did make landfall, it would make landfall just east of Port Lavaca, somewhere in that area. So if you live in the Corpus area, I don't think, or have relatives in the Corpus area, I don't think you're going to have to worry about anything like that, any devastating impacts from a hurricane, a traditional hurricane, if you will. But definitely a lot of rain and some gusty winds, that's for sure. Now, let's look at what the National Hurricane Center says as far as the latest, as far as the track and the conditions. So here's the latest. As you can see, it's really close to the coast. And that orange field is the wind field. So that's winds that are tropical storm force, 39 miles an hour or more. And like I said, the maximum winds or sustained winds are 60 miles an hour. You do have some gusts. But if you look, as far as North Texas is concerned, if you look, the track is not very helpful for us from a rainfall standpoint. So what the models are saying it's going to do is it's going to continue to drift northeast through the rest of the day for sure. And so they're thinking it's going to make landfall probably between midnight and 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then because what we have here is we have a high pressure system to the east of us, and we have a high pressure system to the west of us. So this this tropical storm Nicholas is going to kind of ride in between those, and then that is where we see this path taking it. So if this is where the weakness is between the two high pressure systems, and so that's why it wants to go that way. And then if it does do that, which right now looks like it will, then I think that's why we won't see a big impact. Now, I do think that we will see some increased rain chances. This weekend it was very dry, which actually felt pretty good. But I don't think we're going to see any deluges, unfortunately. But if we continue on with the other graphics, let's just show you what else. So this is the tropical storm force wind speed probability. And of course, we're way up in North Texas. Right now, there would be a zero chance that we would see that. I would think that would continue. Again, this is arrival time of any tropical storm force winds. And as you can see, we're not even in that cone of possibility really, and unless something really radically changes, I just don't see that changing. Now here's a flash flood potential, I should say, for the area. And again, you can see Dallas Fort Worth just outside the green area. Now the green area is a marginal risk of flash flooding. Yellow is slight. The red is moderate, and the pink is high. Of course, that's not totally surprising to see the pink down there on the coast. So right now, we don't really see a situation to where we would see probably won't see a lot of rain, much less flash flooding. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. As far as rainfall amounts, again, the light green is less than an inch or greater, I should say. And again, we're really nowhere near that. And again, that's based on the projected path. Now, this is the excessive rainfall outlook, and it kind of matches what you just saw. So, right now, the closest we would see to anything as far as any kind of excessive rainfall would be way down south near Bryan College Station, back down toward the Houston area. This is the Dallas-Fort Worth forecast area that they focus on these maps. And this is tomorrow. So tomorrow, again, as the storm moves inland, it gets a little closer to us. So I think tomorrow and probably Wednesday are our best chances for rain. So it creeps a little closer, but I just don't think it's going to get anywhere near to do us any good. So this is kind of the bottom line for everything. So the official rainfall forecast really doesn't have us having much rain at all, as you can see. Now they have a reasonable worst case scenario on the right. And even that, we might get a quarter of an inch. Now, having said all that, I would say that, these are just estimates, obviously based on the forecast. So if you're underneath a tropical shower, then you could get a lot more than a quarter of an inch. But it'll be scattered, I think. I don't think we're going to have anything widespread, unfortunately. The good news is the storm will keep the temperatures down. So that's good news. But I just don't think we're going to get a lot out of the storm unless the track really radically changes. And I haven't seen anything in the models that would show that, unfortunately. So I don't have great news from that standpoint that we would get a lot of rain from Nicholas. Now, in a bigger picture, if you have people, family that live on the coast of Texas, this is not going to be a devastating hurricane type situation. It might actually get to hurricane strength before it reaches the coast, but it's just not going to be that kind of situation where it's just not going to be that situation. But as we saw with Tropical Storm Allison way back in 2001, you don't have to have a hurricane to, quite frankly, to have a lot of devastation with rainfall. And this storm is not going to be about wind; it's going to be more about rain. But down by the coast as opposed to up this way, unfortunately. It's always funny, when you live down there, you get too much rain, and, with these storms, and up here, we kind of want the rain, especially this time of year, but we just don't ever seem to get it. Or we have before, but it just, obviously we get it, less than more times with these scenarios. So again, the bottom line is for North Texas anyway, not really a wind threat. Nothing that to be concerned about there. From a rain threat, probably won't even do a whole lot there. I'll keep watching it, but again, right now the storm is east of Brownsville, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and I think that it will stay east and southeast of us. And let's go back to the radar one more quick time. And again, that's where Nicholas is currently. And again, you can see that my little squiggly line is my scientific explanation of where the track's going to go. And I think that, we're going to see most of the rain impacts well south and east of us. But if that changes, I'll let you know. As always, I'm watching the weather so you don't have to. Hope everyone has a great Monday, and we will talk to you